Welcome and thank you for watching Mending Me TV. I'm your host, Crystal. And here at Mending Me, we're here to explore spirituality. Through my early experiences, I've encountered more profound insight, and I'm here to share those with you. Together, we'll navigate spiritual landscapes of life, seeking clarity and connection. So come on, let's journey together. Tonight, we're going to talk about grief and heartache. Grief and heartache, yes. I'm going to share some situations. I'm going to share some personal stories that have shaped my life and show you how some different solutions and strategies to help you through these things. Last week, we talked about giving unsolicited advice, what I like to do, and how burning bridges destroys relationships. Those are really big. That was a really good episode. I like that. Whew. I'm drinking some hot coffee, so it's got me a little hot. So okay. This week's episode is going to piggyback off of burnt bridges, because when you burn a bridge, that can ultimately lead you to grief or heartache with any of the parties. Either or can experience that unknowingly. We can start off with grief. What is grief? And grief is something that we all go through. We might not know what it is or how we get to that point, but we all go through grief. Grief is a deep emotional response we feel when we lose something or someone important to us. That, I've felt that so many times. But it's important for life because it's a natural part. It's a natural part of life. Helping us process and heal from those losses that's what that grief starts, that process to help us heal from that. Because if it didn't start, then we'd have that feeling, that hurt feeling. We carry that around with us all the time. I'm going to tell you tell you how people respond to various types of grief. Because there's not only, when I think of grief, well, when I thought of grief, I only thought it was just like if you lost a person through death. I thought that would be the only grief that you would have. But if you lose a friend, like you just stop being friends with somebody and you had a significant relationship with them, that will cause you grief. If you've been at a job for a significant amount of time, that's grief. And you lose your job, that you will be hurt. That would be just grief. When you lose a pet, I don't have pets. So most people, when they do have pets, that's like a part of their family. And it's like they're losing a part of their family. That's grief. And like I said, losing a relationship, the ending of a divorce, of a friendship, of a committed divorce, and a committed relationship, because divorce is more sort of marriage. Ending that will cause you grief. And when you get a bad health diagnosis, if you feel fine one day and then you go to the doctor and they say you got some life-threatening illness, like you would go into grief that you no longer, like you have a time limit now. Like you're on a time limit. You're ticking, literally. When you lose a child or you have a miscarriage, those can cause you grief within your body and within yourself. When you broke, that can cause you grief, because you like, where am I going to get this next Where am I gonna get it? And it's you can your financial stability is shaken. Like it's just hardships, and you don't know where's the next dollar coming from. And if you had a dream, like if you had a dream when you was a child, or when at anytime in adolescent years or above, you had a dream that you wanted to do something so magnificent, and then 20 years, 30 years, 40 years go by, and you like, I still got that dream, but will I, am I, can I make that happen? And most people with giving up on that aspiration that you have, that would cause you grief, because like I wanted to do that, but time moves fast. Time moves very fast. When you have trauma or been through abuse or have some type of major accident, that can lead you into grief, because it's a loss of security. You don't have that secure feeling within yourself anymore, and that could cause grief. Losing a home or relocating to another place because of financial hardships, or you have to leave behind family, or even leading leading a different road that other people aren't traveling. That could cause you grief, because you want people to be with you. You want people to be around you, but if they can't, um, you can't take everybody with you. Just put it like, you can't take everybody with you. Um, I got a couple more on here. Loss of independence. Like if you're aging, like this happens with a lot of older people. Like they don't want to accept the fact that they're getting older and they need help. Uh, that could cause them grief, because like I said, time goes fast. One day you walking around, you doing what you do, you can move around, jump around and all this and go by yourself, and then now you need help going to the bathroom, you need help getting dressed, you need help with your home, you need help with to live basically. And that could cause a person, or if you're young and you get into like some type of accident or something, and you can no longer take care of yourself like you used to, it's like you're just sad. You just why? You just have that grief feeling. And with grief, grief is how you perceive a loss. Like I just named those down. You can lose any of those things, and you can go into grief. What tends to happen to people is that they go into grief. They get into that mode of grief, but they don't take the steps to get out of it. And I don't think people really know, because I didn't know. I didn't know it was steps to grief. I didn't know. Um, but there's no right or wrong way to feel. You can feel any way you want to feel. Like people get angry. Some people, the emotional effects of grief, you'll have intense sadness, you'll be angry, you'll feel guilt or regret, you'll have numbness, loneliness, isolation. Or some people have relief. Some people get relief from, and that's like if you've been in a deadly, not deadly, in a traumatic, like a severely traumatic um, state, and coming out of that, that would be like a relief for you. That type of feeling that you would have, emotional feeling. Your mental, you'll be in disbelief, denial, confusion. You might even hallucinate a little bit. You'll think like, really, this is what's going on. You'll have nightmares, and it's to not to scare you, but it's like an alarm. Those type of alarms go off for you. Oh, I'm going to share a story with you about grief that I had, that when I went through grief. I just moved into this new neighborhood, and I started to frequent this. How would you say it? I don't want to say the name. I guess I can say into the dollar store. I would frequent this store, dollar store, and it was this cashier there. He was a manager actually, and he was very personable. You know, he always spoke to me when I came in. He always I would call it, he was kind of sweet on me. Like, even though it was a dollar store, like, he would take my groceries. He would take my bags out to my car. Like, I would buy all this like stuff for Isaiah, like cleaning stuff for me, and then some things for Isaiah. And he would always just offer to take him out there, and I thought that was just sweet. I didn't, at the time I was going through my own situation, so I really didn't like. I understood what he was doing, but I really didn't take it any further. I was just like, thank you. I didn't even know his name. I didn't even know his name. When I would, oh yeah, that's okay. I was actually kind of scared because I was going through a heartbreak at the time, or a heartache at the time. So, but every time we talked, every time our little interactions, we were always, our similar interest was God. He would always tell me about, that he was a drummer at this church, and we would talk about God, and how he just little small talk. I really can't. I knew it was about God. I can't remember the whole conversation, but we would talk about that, and years went by. Like, I'll say like 4 years. 4 years went by. 4 or 5 years. No. 5 years. 5 years went by. And he finally talked to me, like, not on some small talk type thing. And he had invited me to the church. He invited me to his church. And the first time he invited me, he had told me, but I think I had some music in my ear, so I wasn't really listening to what he was saying. And he had a very deep voice. So I didn't really understand him. Then I'm trying to piece together in my head what I thought he said. And then I'm looking it up and I'm like, I don't know. So I was like, okay, whatever. And then a few months later, he asked me again. He was like, hey, come to the church. I'm like, I was like, oh no, I don't want to go for real. Cause I'm spiritual. I'm not religious, but I don't know. Well, he asked me a third time, and he actually wrote it down. He wrote the name of the church down, and he wrote his number down and his name. And And so I didn't have an excuse not to go. Didn't have an excuse not to find the church. I didn't have no excuse. Like all excuses was gone. So I went to the church because they was having some type of celebration or something. So I went to the church, and he played the drums. Yeah, he played the drums. So he was up there playing the drums, and I came, watch the celebration or whatnot. And this was like at the end of March of 2020. Was it last year? 22. It was 22. Yeah. Was it? Time is going by so fast. Whew, but I believe it was 22. I'm gonna actually check my phone. Yeah, it was 22. So it was last year. And what was I gonna say? It was 22. Okay, so that's when we met. Okay. Messing up. So that was in March. And we start after that, like he asked if he could talk, like if he could call me and stuff. So I was like, okay, I wasn't talking to nobody or whatever. And so we started communicating back and forth. And I was talking to God. I'm like, God, should I, let this person into my life or whatever? And God told me yes. All signs was yes. All signs was pointing to yes, 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 let him in. And we would always talk about God. Like we would see each other and talk on the phone. We would always talk about God. And a few weeks, I said no, it was like a month because it was before my birthday in May. So it was like April. It was beginning of May. And we had made plans to do something for my birthday and then do something for his birthday a few months later. So that beginning of May, God was like, told me to stop talking to him. Told me to cut him off. Stop talking to him. Let it go. And I'm thinking, I'm like, I'm getting the message to let him go now. So I'm like, I'm not understanding. I'm like, so I was confused. And I listen to God. I move on God's word on what he wants me to do. And when he told me to let this situation go, my hands were tied. I got to listen to God. And I told him, I didn't even know how to tell him. How do you tell somebody that, hey, God says, I'm talking to you? How do you tell somebody that? And I was kind of scared. I kind of just ghosted him a little bit. And he seen it. I like kind of pulled back from him because I stopped answering his call, stopped replying to his text message and stuff. But I still needed to go to the store. I still needed stuff out of the dollar store. And and he cornered me one day. He's like, why you ain't answering my calls or returning my text messages and stuff? I was like, well, God told me to stop talking to you. And he looked at me like, what? I was like, I gotta obey. I gotta obey. And he was clearly mad. And I'm like, okay, I can't do nothing about it. It's either I keep talking to you and God mess with whatever I'm doing, or take whatever, or do whatever God does to tell you I mean business, or I can do as he say and just you be mad at me. And I opted for him to just be mad at me. And a few days before my birthday, he went to the hospital and he had called me. And I think it was like, because he had asthma. He had like some type of respiratory something was going on respiratory. And let me hurry up. Okay. And then he so I told him that, God told me I can't talk to you, whatever. And he was like, okay, he don't understand. I was like, well, you know what? You got to talk to God. Talk to God. Let him show you, tell you what he told me. Since I can't really tell you. So that week, like, cause I didn't hear nothing from him for like a few days, and I'm like, that's odd. Cause he was still texting me and stuff. So I was like, that's odd. And then like I would go past his job and his car one day. I'm like, that's odd. Cause he was a worker. He worked all the time. And finally, I was like, you know what? I was like, well, something else happened or whatever. And finally, I went in there and I asked one of the cashiers. I was like, hey, what's up with where's old boy at? And they was like, he died. My heart sank. My heart. I'm sitting here. I'm calling that girl all type of lies. I'm like, man, you lying. I was like, you lying. You lying. The first denial. I was in denial right off the rip. Denial. I was like, you are lying to me. You can't be you can't you can't you can't. And I couldn't. This was so, and I'm this is wild for me because this is the first person that was close to me that since I've been spiritual that had died around me. And the stages of grief, and I got this process of grief. I got it from this book called On Death and Dying, by Elizabeth Ross, and she breaks it down into 5 stages. The first one was denial. I was in shock. I was just in total shock. I couldn't understand. I'm like, I just seen him. I like literally, that was on the 26th because he left me a message. He left me a message telling me to call him. And I feel, and I think because I was crying, I was bawling, like just crying. I could not stop crying. I was angry. The second step, I was angry because why didn't I call him back? Why didn't I? Why did you tell God? And then I went to God. I'm like, God, why? What was this about? I was like, what was this about? Why did this happen? Bargaining. I'm like, I'm trying to think like maybe if I did something better, if I did this, and maybe if I did talk to him, would it still happen? What if I didn't? I see what happened. Like, what could I have done? What could I have done, God? What could I have done? And it was like the 4th stage is depression. And I was just sad. I was just so sad, so hurt. But it was a hurt like, it felt like more like a sinus infection, because it was like up in this area. It was just hurting up in here. Like it was just sadness. It just felt like my neck and above was just sad. It was just, I just felt it there. And the final stage is acceptance. When I seen the casket, I was like, it's real. Like he's really, like he's gone. Like there's nothing I could do. There's nothing I could have done. He's just gone. And that lasted coincidentally, with the 5 stages, it lasted for 5 days for me. Like I found out, and then the 5 days. So it wasn't the fifth day of his, it wasn't his funeral. It wasn't that day. It was literally 5 days from me finding out his death until the fifth day. And that just had me, and I can't, I'm glad that, and now, like if I used to, like, if I was still in it, I would be crying because those emotions will come back. So I had to heal that. Healing, going through those stages will help you to heal those emotions. It's like, yeah, I feel sad. Like I still got the message that he sent me. It's like, but I mean, I understand. I understand why it happened. And I should have brought the cards, but I did the tarot cards, and it came up with, what was the card? It was like the Chariot. The Chariot is a card, is a chariot is what moves in life. The Chariot is what moves you and through life. The Chariot was upside down, meaning life had stopped. And I got this card, and it was this person on the card. It's the person that's confused. I think it was the Seven of Cups. It was the Seven of Cups. And the person was confused, just looking like, what the hell? And it was like, I'm sad that he didn't know what happened or was confused. But I guess I can say, no, I guess I can say it. But was it a few? No, it was at the beginning of the year. It was either the beginning of the year or late. Yeah, it was the beginning of the year, beginning of this year. I can speak to different things. So he came to me and he asked me, how did I know? And I didn't even know. It was just like, God knows, and he shows you and he tells you, like, because if I would have got deeper into anything with him, I probably wouldn't have been able to get out of that as easy as I did. But it's crucial to understand these stages, because you might not go through it like I did. You might not. You might can skip a few stages and make it out okay. You might. You might be able to break that cycle earlier. But everybody's grieving process is different. I'm so thankful for that experience. I had to learn. It was more so because everything you get an experience, you get a lesson out of everything. I had to learn a lesson. He taught me a good lesson, that I'm thankful for that. And with that, I turned to heartache. Now, when I said that grief, when I felt the grief, it was in my head. Like it was here. It was just like sinus infection. It was just like, it felt like a sinus infection. If you ever had a sinus infection, that's how it felt with the grief. Like the grief with him, it was just in my sinuses. Heartache feels a lot different than that. And I went through a heartbreak with my son's father. And that, if you know what a precision needle is, like those needles, really, really tiny, tiny needles, not tiny as in lengthwise, but tiny as in like width, like the width of a needle. They're so small that, and no, like a precision cut. Like a cut so fine that you won't know that you're even cut until like something some type of acid or something burns it to let you know that, hey, you got a cut on your hand or something. It felt like I had thousands of precision needles going through my heart. That was the absolute worst pain that I've ever felt. And I was going through, I didn't even know I was going through a heartache. I didn't even know I was in love with this dude. And I was thinking about it, it's so funny. It's so funny because God did this. God had his hand in all of this. But we're gonna start with heart. We're gonna go on to heartache. Heartache is an emotional pain or a sadness someone feels, usually because of problems or losses in love, or a close relationship. When you have heartache, your heart feels heavy. It's like it felt. And when I was going through it, all I could think about is, when the scales, the Libra scales, if you could see the Libra scales, them balancing your heart against a feather to get into heaven. And it was just always, my heart was so heavy. My heart was so heavy. And it's like, I lived my life like from a childhood. Like I've done everything from being from a child to now, living my life so that I could get into heaven or get to a better place with God, because I didn't know the what I needed to do to get to find God. I'm gonna digress, but I didn't know how to find God, so I just stayed into a positive, treating people right, doing right by people, just in hopes, like, what, you should see my track record, let me in. Symptoms of a heartbreak, or heartache, can be both emotional and physical. Like, mine was emotional, but it was like I didn't know, so it was like it made me angry. I was more so angry with mine, but I felt it in a heartfelt way. I felt it in my heart. So I'm like, this ain't something I've ever felt before. These are some of the common symptoms the emotional symptoms. You'll have intense sadness or despair. You'll feel lonely or empty. You'll be crying frequently, feeling hopeless, difficulty focusing on tasks and daily activities, lack of interest in activities that you've previously enjoyed, a sense of nostalgia about the past. You feel anger or resentment. You'll feel fear or anxiety about the future, especially regarding a relationship. I felt anger. I felt anger. I did, because I was like, because our relationship was not a real relationship. It was, we discussed this in the first one about the relationships, but it wasn't a full title of a relationship. But it was like a friendship with extra benefits. So, but the anger, it was there. The anger was there. It was like, and I had the anxiety about the future, because like, we have a child together. Like, what I just, the physical symptoms: a heavy feeling or tightness in your chest. You have a decreased appetite or loss of interest in food. Having trouble sleeping, being feeling like you have insomnia or oversleeping. You'll feel fatigued or feeling drained. You'll have stomach aches, digestive issues. You'll have headaches, decreased immunity. You'll feel like you're getting sick, or you're just sick all the time. or you'll have increased heart problems, like heart palpitations. Your heart rate's always race. Your heart is always racing. Those type of things. Those are indications if you're going through like a relationship and it's like it's broken up. It's broken up and and uh you'll feel that. Those are the symptoms you'll feel. You'll feel emotional and physical symptoms. And it's important to know that everybody's heartache is different. Everybody go through, just like grief, you might go through one or two, or you might go through three. You might go through all of them. And if you're finding it emotional pain, it goes over your whole body. It makes your whole body feel a certain way. It can. Some people it doesn't. Like I said, mine was what I can remember. Mine was my heart. Like I just felt like it felt like just those needles just going in my heart and then my heart pumping. So it's like it's your heart's pumping and it's going those needles, and you just felt it. It's not only did it affect my emotions, but that hurt too. And my emotions, it was wrapped up. It was wrapped up with him, and I didn't even know how that happened. I didn't even know how that happened. But I know it was meant to happen. It was meant to happen because every time, because I'm the type of person, if you do me wrong, I'ma just leave. I'm out. But with him, we had a child, so I couldn't do that. It wasn't about me. It was about our child. So I was like, I can't do that. I can't just leave. I can't just stop talking to this dude. I can't just do that. And God will show me, these two little kindergarten, like whenever I try to, and I'm like, man, I'm tired of this. So God would give me this vision of two kindergartners, a boy and a girl, kindergartens. And in kindergarten, they would tell you, if a boy picks with you, they like you. And I'm thinking like, okay. And they would tell me like, okay, he doesn't know how to express himself. He doesn't know how to do this. He doesn't know how to do this. And I'm like, I would suck it up. And I'm like, okay, I'll just stay. Like if you're telling me that this is how he truly feels, then okay, I will. I'll stay for that. Listening to God, going with God's word. And it was meant for me to say because this was a lesson that I needed to learn. This heartache was to wake me up. And when I think about it, I think that I subscribe to what is that? Reincarnation. I subscribe to that. Reincarnation, soulmates, I subscribe to that. And how God makes me feel is that, I was up next. We was up next to come back down here. And I said, God, do whatever you have to do to wake me up. Whatever you have to do, wake me up. And this woke me up. This woke me up. Like, I'm thankful. I'm so thankful because before this, I don't know if I said it. Yeah, I think I said it in another episode. But I was sheltered. I was raised sheltered. I didn't know anything about the outside world. I didn't really know anything about people. All I was really around was my family and going to school. And I'm thankful. I'm thankful. So this heartache, what they tried to do, because what he was doing, him and his clan of people, what they were doing or what they hoped. They were trying to break my heart. They were trying, because if a woman is heartbroken, that breaks a woman. If a woman's heart is broken, that breaks her completely. Breaks her completely. But that was my ticket. That was my ticket, and I'm so thankful. I might have got off subject, but I'm reeling it back again. But I didn't understand that emotion, that emotional pain that I was going through. I didn't know what that was. But it manifests in the physical, and that's with anything. Like if you have emotional pain, if you don't take care of that emotional pain, it's going to manifest into the physical plane, because it's like that has to come out. What happens above happens below eventually. This is why when you're hurt, you need to address it. Like I said, you need to address it. If you're hurting, if somebody's hurting your feelings and you hold those feelings in due time, you're going to explode and you're going to hurt someone external to you. Not physically. You might not physically hurt them, but it will physically manifest itself out. But with this heartache, he actually triggered my abandonment issue, which I didn't even know I had. I didn't know a lot of stuff, but I'm so glad that I was able to learn it. I'm so glad I was able to learn this, because it was a great experience. Looking back on it, being out of that storm, being out of it and looking at it, I'm so grateful that everything happened how it did. Everything happened the way it was supposed to happen. And I'm so thankful for that. I couldn't, with that, how my heart was hurting like that, I couldn't take it. I couldn't. And God, he came to me. God will come to you, because he's trying to get you to come to him. He's trying to get you to come to him. God came to me when I was 18. And he wanted me to come with him. And I'm like, no. I remember talking to him. I can't remember what he was saying to me, but I remember saying, no, I'm not ready. I don't want to go. I'm not ready. I remember saying that, because like I said, I was sheltered. I just turned 18. I'm trying to have some freedom. Okay. And God came to me again, like 4 years later. I was like, God, I ain't ready, God. Because me thinking going to God, I'm going to be sitting, it's going to church all the time. And I didn't want that. I'm like, I don't want to be in church all the time. That's not what I want to do. So I was like, no, I'm not going. I'm not ready. Third time, God, I ain't have a choice. And I'm thankful. I'm thankful that God didn't give me a choice. God was like, you either going to sit here with this pain or you going to come with me. What you going to do? Like, what you going to do? That's basically what he said, like banging on my door. I'm like, I gotta go. I'm ready. I'm ready. And I'm just saying, I'm ready to go with God. I'm ready to live by your rules. I'm ready to go where you want me to go. And with that, I had to leave different things behind. This relationship, this situationship, whatever, I'm gonna call it what it is. This relationship was meant for me in order for me to grow. It was meant in order for me to grow. And I accept it, and I appreciate the experience, because I was able to get a clean experience in life. You like how I did that? A clean, if you don't know, a clean experience is my cleaning business. So I was able to get a clean experience in life. And I couldn't ask for more. I couldn't ask for better. I couldn't ask for it. In conclusion, grief and heartache are both feelings we get from from some type of loss. They deeply affect our emotions and can even impact our bodies. Sometimes when we grieve, we also feel the heartache. Like I said, the heartache and grief, they go hand in hand, especially when it involves someone that we're close to. Even though I wasn't as close, even though we didn't have a long relationship with Ro, those were real tears. Like I don't know if it was more so me rejecting him. I don't know if it was more so me rejecting him and then me crying because of that, or it was just like I just cared. Like it was just so sad. It was just sad. It was just sad. But that grief, it was an eye opener. That heartache, that was a big eye opener. That was a huge eye opener. But I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful because all of it a great experience. We live for the experience and the lessons that you learn from the things that you go through, because you will grow through them and you'll have a better life. You'll live better. You'll feel better. You'll live. It's just a light. It's just a light feeling, because with that heartache, it just weighed you down. It was just hurtful. It just weighed you down, because you just got that, even though you can't see it, it's that pain. It's that you got like a pain of armor just sitting on your shoulders. And I'm so thankful. I'm just so thankful. I'm thankful if you made it through this podcast. I'm appreciative to you, and I send blessings to you. May God continue to bless you. Yeah. Next week, we are going to dive deep into, I want to do karma. But like I said, God changes it up for me. Like I'll say I want to do karma now, and then 2 days later, he'll be like, no, you're going to do this. So we shall see. I'm going to try and be more proactive and get the, the flyers out, and get them, I was going to say in a timely manner, but get them out. And I'm thankful. I'm grateful for this show. I'm grateful. I'm so thankful. And I hope that you can take some of my information and learn from it and apply it to your life. If you're going through grief, if you're going through a heartbreak, reach out. Leave some, if you got questions, if you got, anything. I mean, don't sit in the pain. Don't sit in it, because it ain't gonna hurt nobody but you and your offspring. And when I say offspring, I mean that you will pass down that hate, that pain, that grief from you to your children. Somebody got to get over it. So get over it, so your children can see that, hey, I can get over this. I thank you again for watching. Thank you for watching, and have a great night.